Welcome to the 8th Hayley-Roxanna Crafts quick cross stitch video, where I share information, hints and tips on one area of cross stitch in a short video. In this video I'm focusing on how to do full cross stitches on Evenweave fabric. So Evenweave fabric like this is similar to Aida fabric in that it is fabric made up of woven thread to create a grid with holes. However, there are many differences between the two fabrics as well, such as there is less space between the holes. So Evenweave comes in a higher count than Aida, meaning there are more holes per inch. So therefore, for a design meant to be stitched on 14 count Aida, you would need 28 count Evenweave to achieve the same sized finished cross stitch. There are also other differences between the fabrics, such as how they feel and how they look when you're finished with them and what you do with them. But for the purposes of this video, the count is the main difference we need to look at. When it comes to cross stitching on Evenweave, you often hear people talking about stitching over 2. And this refers to the number of holes you cross when stitching to represent a square, or to represent each square on the chart. So as a reminder, this is what a cross stitch looks like on mine and most other charts. On Aida, the holes are each corner of the square on the charts. So the cross stitches are worked hole to hole. Whereas on Evenweave, each square on your chart of the pattern is the equivalent to 9 holes on your fabric. So 3 across and 3 down, with 1 in the middle. So when working a cross stitch, you want to come up in the bottom left of where you want your cross, again, just like you did with the Aida, and pull through. But then when you go down, you're going to skip the middle hole and you want to go down through the next hole, like so. And then to do the cross that goes the other way, you want to come up through the bottom right of the square, so you've got to skip the hole directly below where you've just gone down and come up through the next hole, like so. And then again you're going to skip that middle hole and go down in the next one to form your cross. Just like with the Aida fabric, the top and the bottom half of the stitches can be done the other way, but usually you want to keep to the same way for the whole of your design. Just as with stitching on the Aida fabric, you can stitch using the English method, which is what we did when I just demonstrated that cross there. Or you can use the Danish method where you work all the bottom halves of the cross and then all the top halves. So if I was doing that, I would come up there, and then skip a hole and down in the next one, like so. And then to make the bottom of the next cross, you go down 2 holes from where you've just come up, or just gone down, sorry, and come up. Skip the middle hole for that square and go down the next one diagonally, and then just repeat that till you've got the number of stitches you want going across, and then cross them back. by just doing the same again in the opposite direction. And again, this can also be done in the reverse, if it says carrying your thread over long distances. So for example, if the next row started over here somewhere but finished touching this square, to save carrying the thread across the back, and also when you're working on even weave to save mistakes with counting, you can just come up here and work your stitches from top to bottom instead of bottom to top. But you do just want to make sure that your two lines that make up your cross are always travelling in the same direction for the top and the bottom of the cross. Okay, come that way and then just come back on yourself to cross them over. Like so. And obviously these lines can be as long as you need. There are occasions when stitching on even weave where you would stitch over just one square. So by that I mean that you would come up in the bottom corner of where you want your stitch, but then you'd literally go down into what would be the middle of the square as far as the pattern's concerned. So it just makes that smaller cross, and then you'd cross it over exactly the same. So it makes very, very tiny cross stitches. Like so. So it's sort of a quarter of the cross. But this will most likely be shown in a different way on your chart to how the full stitches are shown, which you would do over two. But you'd need to check the instructions that come with your patterns for this information. These smaller stitches are often called petite stitches, which I will cover more in a later video. There are also horizontal and vertical half stitches, which again are done slightly differently, and that's something else I will also cover in a later video. If you have any questions about full cross stitches on Evenweave, please pop them in the comments. And in next week's quick cross stitch video, I will demonstrate quarter stitches on Aida fabric.